Tonight at 9:30pm GMT over on the Cthulhu Kin and Friends show, now renamed Moist Ski Live, because I don't really have any friends on there anymore, so it seemed right to change the name, and Warski Live is dead. So fuck you, Andy. It's mine now. I shall be streaming a response to Prime Minister's questions. I have no doubt the 99% allegedly 99% completed Brexit deal with the Labour Party shall be the main focus, along with a rather substantial amount of virtue being shown with regards to the month of Ramadan, I believe. I'm not going to talk about that. Irked me enough last night. Link to the channel, Moist Ski Live that is, and the stream down below. Now the subject of today's video is going to be about good quality parenting. The kind of quality parenting where you just can't help but wish absolutely nothing but the very best for the mother and grandmother, because they're very close in this particular story, and of course we want them, the matriarchs of their family, to do well. Even if the mother is being charged for assaulting her 7-year-old son because he wasn't doing a good enough job looking out while the grandmother was attempting to shoplift at a Walmart. Seems a bit far-fetched, doesn't it? Well, let's insert this lady here. This is Rebecca Gonzalez. She is the mother of the aforementioned 7-year-old boy. For obvious reasons, the son is not being named, and so I won't bother pushing that button. She is being charged with aggravated assault because a policeman saw her when they turned up to deal with something else, no doubt the grandmother's attempt at thievery. They caught her slapping the child and then clenching her fist and slapping him with that. We normally call that a punch, right? Yeah, let's call it that. I call it top-notch parenting. It's not. I know some of you are just listening to me and not watching, but there was a sarcasm sign on the screen for that. Not long ago I also stated it was because the boy wasn't doing a good enough job being a lookout. Well, how do we know this? That's what some of you are undoubtedly thinking. Well, it's funny you should ask that, because that comes from the 7-year-old boy's mouth, with him being quoted as saying he didn't watch out for his grandma good enough. I can see that education system of yours is doing wonders for him. Can I be more of a snob? Can I do that? Nah, it's arrogant. Now I'm sure, and I should of course put this out there, I'm sure there are a whole plethora of reasons why the grandmother felt the need to steal. Maybe poverty played a part. Maybe it was just for shiggles. For those that don't know what that means, shits and giggles. Maybe it was because she saw the shiny and really wanted the shiny, but didn't have any of that precious green paper to hand over. It could be for other reasons, to fuel a drug habit. Who knows? Of course, until this all comes out, and I'm sure it will soon enough since the preliminary hearing for the aggravated assault charge happened on April 30th, context of course will be important to understand why she felt the need to beat him and what led to that to begin with, along with why the police were there as well. It will undoubtedly come to light what led them to be at the Walmart and why they felt they had to steal the shiny, whatever the shiny was. For all we know, the shiny could have been a single 9mm bullet, or a Twinkie, or some soy milk, or a ding-dong. Who knows? It's a mystery. What we do know from this case with absolute certainty is that this boy will never make it as a career criminal if his job is to be the lookout. Might I recommend instead you focus on your education. That way you will learn right and be good enough. You're welcome. Maybe we should move on from the top-notch quality parenting and instead have a look at a video. It had been doing its rounds around YouTube and other such places, to the point where no one's seen it. Seriously. There was an article written by cauldronpool.com indicating that pedophilia is being taught as sexual orientation in public schools. This actually reminds me a lot, though, when you see the video and there's context, it's very important, of some of the comments Sargon of Akkad has made with regards to child pedophilia and pederasty. To me, it is important to understand the full context, because without it in this case, the article is remarkably misleading, and in the context of what the school is teaching 9th graders, or 14 to 15-year-olds as we call them here, which is year 10, some could argue that perhaps they are old enough to start to learn about sex education. There are many debates about this. Sexual orientation is quite important. Certainly for teenagers, as they're growing up, they want to understand themselves and what they want. If they are certainly down that path, then of course medical help should be given as quickly as possible to make sure they don't cross the line. In the context of what they're teaching, though, it is allegedly about teaching historical perspectives on how gender relations and different types of sexual orientations have existed in history. So they're teaching history. And if they're talking about pederasty, let's assume Rome, which would make certain sense. Understandably, parents are outraged about teaching pedophilia or pederasty as well to 14 to 15-year-olds in California, which surprised me a little bit, but then again, California is not all cuckolded, as we are all led to believe. In the video I'm going to play for you in a second, it is Assistant Superintendent of Curricula Kerry Torres, who's going to be explaining the school's position.
I'm responding to your questions, and I will go ahead and email you back or give you a call.
Thank you for coming.
Now you're normalizing anal sex and you're teaching that to the high schoolers? You're not going to answer the question.
No, I'd be happy to answer.
But not in front of everybody.
They're not interested in hearing on those stars and sitting here.
Parents are not interested.
So I'd love, they are, if the ladies are still sitting here,
Okay,
I'd be happy
so
to answer.
answer me why you're teaching pedophilia in school to ninth graders.
Teaching what?
Pedophilia, pederasty, right here.
Pederasty, as I discussed with you before, twice in my office when you come to view the materials, I've explained to you that this is done because we are talking about historical perspectives of how gender relations and different types of sexual orientations have existed in history. So this is something,
A man and a boy is a sexual orientation.
something that's occurred in history, and so this is really important for us to include. May I help you? Yes,
Now yes, there's a certain air of pretentiousness, and one could certainly argue it is highly inappropriate to teach this kind of stuff to kids. However, I don't think the article is quite right in how it is portraying this, and we are somewhat, or the parents are, being a bit condescending towards what their children cannot learn, and also assuming that this is normalizing paedophilia, which it is not. It is teaching that it is a thing that happened. And I think that's the interesting and more important aspect, because people are jumping on the outrage accusing the school of normalizing paedophilia and anal sex, which you may have noticed from the video, which is, of course, really, really bad. Right. They are not normalizing, and I think that is the repeated point that should keep cropping up. In the comments, I noticed a number of people getting very uppity. One of the comments saying, allowing schools to teach paedophilia as a sexual orientation paves the ways for Muslims to marry preteens in the US. Right. Another one, the only time people should be taught about paedophiles is to warn children and teens to stay away from them, because they are mentally unstable and dangerous. We should of course teach that as well, but I also believe in a thorough and firm understanding of history. I would like to see the curriculum fully to best understand the context in which it is necessary to teach pederasty and paedophilia in the historical context. I would like to see that, but at the same time I'm not as bothered by it as I should be, and my main irritation is less that they are teaching it and more about the normalizing accusation within the article itself. Another comment showing remarkable intelligence said, what does paedophilia have anything to do with history? Somebody didn't learn about Rome then, did they? Might I recommend you go and pick up a book? Preferably not one of those ones with children's pictures all over, but instead one that is a little more comprehensive. You'll find paedophilia has a lot to do with history. Hell, look at the majority of Abrahamic religions. I don't touch religion normally, but I know sex offenders are, prevalent in faith. Shocking, I know. Anyway, I hope the mother that beat her son suffers for it. You don't beat children. And I do hope that the school that is teaching this particular aspect of history does so properly, because a level of tact is required. If people understand something, they will not be afraid of it, especially if they find out someone is that. They will know how to act. And as they are 14 to 15-year-olds, I see less of an issue with teaching them about this particular part of history. I believe they might have the mental capacity to start to understand what is going on and behave accordingly. Maybe I have too much faith in teenagers. You can tell I'm not a parent. Anyway, if I don't see you tonight over on Moist Ski Live at 9:30 PM GMT for Prime Minister's Questions, I hope you all have a lovely Wednesday, and thank you all for listening.